There are moments in every person's life when the heart grows weary from waiting. We pray, we hope, we dream, and yet the answers seem delayed. We look around and see others receiving blessings that we have asked for in secret. We wonder why doors remain closed, why the pain continues, and why heaven appears silent. In those moments, fear begins to whisper to us. Anxiety takes hold of our thoughts, and we start asking questions that have troubled humanity for centuries. Has God forgotten me? Does he hear my prayers? Will my breakthrough ever come? But God speaks gently into the storms of our hearts and says, relax. Everything will come in my perfect timing. One of the greatest struggles of the human soul is learning to trust God's clock instead of our own. We live in a world that demands immediate results. We want instant success, instant healing, instant answers, and instant happiness. We have become accustomed to speed, and because of that, waiting feels unbearable. Yet God has never been in a hurry. The one who created the stars, the oceans, and the mountains is not bound by the ticking of a clock. He sees the end from the beginning. He knows every detail of your story before you have lived it. Perhaps today you are carrying a burden that nobody else can see. Maybe you have been praying for years for a loved one to return to God. Maybe you are asking for healing in your body, peace in your home, or direction for your future. Perhaps you are waiting for an opportunity, a relationship, or a miracle that seems impossible. And because the answer has not yet arrived, discouragement has settled into your spirit. But listen carefully, delays are not denials. Just because God has not answered your prayer today does not mean he will never answer it. Just because you cannot see him working does not mean he is absent. God often does his greatest work behind the scenes in places hidden from human eyes. While you are waiting, he is preparing. While you are praying, he is moving. While you are struggling to understand, he is arranging circumstances in ways you could never imagine. The truth is that God's timing is always perfect because his wisdom is perfect. We see only a small portion of life, but God sees the entire picture. We focus on today, but he sees tomorrow, next year, and eternity itself. We become impatient because we cannot understand why certain doors remain closed. Yet many times, those closed doors are expressions of God's mercy. There are blessings you once begged God for that would have destroyed you if they had arrived too early. There are relationships you desperately wanted that would have led you away from his purpose. There are opportunities you thought you needed that would have brought more pain than joy. In his infinite love, God protects us from things we do not understand. Sometimes God says, wait, because he is shaping your character. He knows that if the blessing arrives before you are ready, it may become a burden instead of a gift. He uses seasons of waiting to strengthen our faith, deepen our dependence on him, and teach us lessons that prosperity never could. Think about the farmer who plants seeds in the ground. He does not expect to harvest the next morning. He understands that growth takes time. Beneath the surface, unseen processes are taking place. Roots are forming, life is developing. The harvest is coming, but it cannot be rushed. In the same way, God is at work beneath the surface of your life. You may not see progress. You may not feel his presence, but deep within your soul, he is producing strength, wisdom, patience, and faith. The waiting season is not wasted. Every prayer, every tear, every sleepless night is being used by God for a purpose greater than you can comprehend. Many people abandon hope because they confuse silence with absence. They believe that if God is not speaking loudly, he must not be listening. But some of God's greatest miracles began in silence. There are seasons when heaven seems quiet, not because God has turned away, but because he is teaching us to trust him without visible evidence. Faith is not believing only when everything makes sense. Faith is standing firm when nothing makes sense at all. Faith is waking up each morning and saying, Lord, I do not understand your plan, but I trust your heart. I do not know why this delay continues, but I believe you are working all things together for good. There are people listening today whose hearts have grown tired. You have carried disappointment for so long that hope feels dangerous. You have prayed the same prayer so many times that you wonder whether heaven even hears your voice anymore. But God hears every prayer. Not one cry has escaped his attention. Not one tear has fallen unnoticed. Every moment of pain has been recorded in his loving heart. The God who knows the number of stars also knows the burdens you carry in secret. He knows the battles you fight behind closed doors. He understands your fears, your doubts, and your disappointments. And he says to you, relax, trust me, I have not forgotten you. It is easy to trust God when everything is going well. It is easy to praise him when prayers are answered quickly and blessings flow abundantly. But true faith is revealed in the waiting. True faith declares that God is good even when circumstances are difficult. True faith believes that his plans are higher than ours and his timing is wiser than ours. We often want explanations, but God offers his presence instead. We ask, why? While he says, trust me. We demand details while he asks for faith. We want certainty about tomorrow while he invites us to walk with him today. Life rarely unfolds according to our schedules. Unexpected hardships appear, dreams are delayed, doors close without warning. Relationships change, health problems emerge, financial struggles arise. In those moments, we are tempted to believe that our lives have fallen apart. Yet many times, what feels like chaos is actually divine preparation. God specializes in bringing beauty out of brokenness. He takes our setbacks and transforms them into testimonies. He uses disappointments to redirect our steps. He takes seasons of loneliness and teaches us that his presence is enough. He allows us to walk through valleys so that we can discover the depth of his love. Some of the strongest believers are not those who received immediate answers to prayer. They are those who learned to trust God through years of uncertainty. They discovered that waiting does not weaken faith, it refines it. The fire of delay burns away pride, self-reliance, and impatience, leaving behind a deeper dependence on God. Perhaps you have asked God, why is this taking so long? The answer may be that God is doing 10,000 things behind the scenes that you cannot yet see. He is aligning people, opening doors, closing dangerous paths, and preparing blessings at the exact moment they will accomplish his purpose. Imagine what would happen if we received everything we wanted the instant we asked for it. We would never learn patience. We would never develop perseverance. We would never discover the joy of trusting God through uncertainty. The waiting itself becomes part of God's plan. There is a reason why diamonds are formed under pressure and why great trees withstand storms. Strength is not developed in comfort. It is forged in hardship. Character is built in seasons of delay. Faith grows strongest when it is tested. God's perfect timing often differs from our expectations because his goals are eternal. We focus on temporary happiness, but he is shaping our souls for eternity. We ask for comfort while he desires transformation. We seek immediate relief while he is producing lasting faith. Do not measure God's love by the speed of his answers. Some of God's greatest acts of kindness are hidden inside unanswered prayers and delayed blessings. Years from now, you may look back and thank him for the very things that once caused you pain. You may realize that the delays protected you, strengthened you, and guided you towards something far greater than you imagined. There are moments when the night feels endless. You pray, but dawn does not come. You wait, but nothing changes. Yet even in the darkest hours, God remains faithful. The sunrise does not arrive because we demand it. It comes at the appointed time. The seasons do not change because we become impatient. They unfold according to God's design. Your life is also unfolding according to his design. That does not mean every hardship comes from God. It does not mean every pain has an easy explanation. But it does mean that nothing enters your life without first passing through his hands. He is still sovereign. He is still in control. He is still writing your story. The enemy wants you to believe that your waiting is meaningless. He wants you to surrender to bitterness, despair, and fear. He whispers that your best days are behind you and that your prayers will never be answered. Do not believe those lies. The God who brought you this far will not abandon you now. The God who sustained you yesterday will sustain you tomorrow. The God who carried you through past trials will carry you through this season as well. You may feel weak, but His strength is greater than your weakness. You may feel lost, but His wisdom is greater than your confusion. You may feel forgotten, but His love is deeper than your fears. Sometimes we think we are waiting on God, when in reality, God is waiting on us. He is waiting for us to surrender our plans, release our timelines, and place our trust completely in Him. He is waiting for us to stop striving and start believing. There is peace that comes when we finally accept that God's timing is perfect. We stop comparing our journey to others. We stop measuring our worth by worldly success. We stop demanding immediate answers. Instead, we rest in the assurance that the Creator of the universe knows exactly what He is doing. Peace does not come from having all the answers. Peace comes from knowing the one who does. When storms rage around us, God invites us to rest in Him. When uncertainty fills our minds, He reminds us that He remains unchanging. Human plans fail. Human promises are broken. Human wisdom is limited. But God's faithfulness endures forever. One day you may stand on the other side of your struggle and finally understand why the waiting was necessary. You may see how every delay prepared you for a greater purpose. You may recognize that God's hand was guiding you even when you felt abandoned. Until that day comes, hold on to His promises. Keep praying, even when heaven seems silent. Keep believing, even when circumstances appear hopeless. Keep trusting. Even when the road ahead is unclear, your story is not over. The chapter you are living right now may be filled with questions, tears, and uncertainty. But God is still writing the ending. The delays you experience today may become the testimony you share tomorrow. The pain you endure now may become the source of someone else's hope in the future. Do not lose heart because of the waiting. God is never late. He has never missed an appointment. He has never forgotten a promise. He has never abandoned one of His children. His timing may test your patience, but it will never fail you. The answer may not arrive when you expect it. The breakthrough may come in a different form than you imagined. The blessing may take a path you never anticipated. But when God's perfect moment arrives, you will understand that every delay had a purpose. And until then, hear His gentle voice speaking into your anxious heart. Relax. Be still. Trust me. I know the desires you carry. I see the tears you hide. I hear the prayers you whisper in the dark. I am working even when you cannot see it. I am preparing blessings you cannot yet imagine. My timing is perfect, and my plans for you are good. So do not surrender to fear. Do not allow worry to consume your soul. Do not let impatience steal your joy. Lift your eyes beyond your present circumstances and place your confidence in the one who holds all things together. The God who created time itself is not confused about your future. He knows exactly where you are, exactly what you need, and exactly when the answer will come. Rest in Him, trust Him, wait on Him, because everything will come in God's perfect timing. There are people who spend years trying to force open doors that God has not yet chosen to unlock. They exhaust themselves with worry, lose sleep over unanswered questions, and carry burdens that were never meant to rest upon their shoulders. God never intended for His children to live in constant panic about the future. Yet so many wake up each morning already defeated by fears about what might happen tomorrow. They ask themselves whether they will ever overcome their struggles, whether they will ever find peace, whether their dreams will ever become reality. The truth is that anxiety often grows from the illusion that everything depends on us. We begin to believe that if we do not solve every problem immediately, our lives will collapse. We convince ourselves that we must have all the answers, control every circumstance, and predict every outcome. But God calls us to a different kind of life, a life of surrender. Surrender is not weakness. Surrender is not giving up. Surrender means placing our future into the hands of the one who sees beyond our limitations. It means acknowledging that God's understanding stretches far beyond our own. It means saying, Lord, I will do my part faithfully, but but I trust you with what lies beyond my control. Many people misunderstand waiting. They imagine it as sitting still, doing nothing, and simply hoping that circumstances will improve. But biblical waiting is active. It is filled with expectation. It is the quiet confidence that God is at work even when no evidence is visible. It is continuing to pray when the answer has not arrived. It is continuing to believe when the facts seem discouraging. It is continuing to obey when the path ahead remains hidden. God often uses seasons of waiting to reveal what truly lives inside our hearts. When everything is stripped away, our plans, our timelines, our expectations, we discover whether our faith depends on blessings or on God Himself. Anyone can worship when life is easy. Anyone can speak of faith when success comes quickly. But it is in the lonely seasons, in the silent nights, and in the long delays that genuine trust is formed. There are times when God delays an answer because He wants us to seek Him more deeply than we seek the blessing itself. Too often, we become consumed by what we want and forget the one we belong to. We become so focused on the destination that we overlook the sacred work God is doing along the journey. Yet some of the greatest transformations occur not when our prayers are answered, but while they are still being prayed. Perhaps you have been asking God for something so long that the hope itself has become painful. Maybe every passing month feels like another reminder that your answer has not come. You smile in front of others, but deep inside, disappointment has taken root. You wonder whether you should keep praying or simply accept defeat. But consider this. What if the delay is not punishment? What if the waiting season is not evidence of God's absence, but proof of His careful preparation? What if the very thing that feels like rejection is actually divine protection? There are battles God fights for us that we never even see. There are dangers He keeps from us that we never recognize. There are paths He closes because He knows where they would ultimately lead. We often judge events by their immediate impact, but God measures them according to eternity. Think about how many times in life you have looked back and realized that what once seemed like a disaster became an unexpected blessing. The job you lost opened the way for a better opportunity. The relationship that ended protected you from future pain. The delay that frustrated you eventually made sense. In those moments, hindsight reveals what faith struggled to understand. Yet God asks us to trust Him before we have that understanding. The world says seeing is believing. God says believe and one day you will see. The world says take control. God says be still. The world says everything depends on you. God says cast your burdens upon me. The burden of carrying tomorrow was never meant for human shoulders. We were not created to know every detail of the future. We were created to walk with God one day at a time. He gives us enough light for the next step, though rarely enough to see the entire road. And perhaps that is by design. If we knew every twist and turn that lay ahead, we might depend on information instead of faith. If we could predict every outcome, we might trust ourselves instead of God. So He lovingly limits our vision, not to frustrate us, but to draw us closer to Him. There is something powerful about reaching the end of your own strength. It is there, when your plans have failed and your resources are exhausted, that you begin to understand the greatness of God's power. Human ability has limits, but God's power does not. Human wisdom reaches dead ends, but God's wisdom knows no boundaries. Some of the most remarkable stories of faith begin with impossible situations. They begin with closed doors, shattered expectations, and circumstances that seem beyond repair. They begin in places where human effort can go no further, and it is precisely there that God reveals His glory. You may feel as though your situation has gone on too long. You may wonder whether your opportunity has passed. You may think that time has run out, but God is not constrained by human schedules. He is able to restore lost years, revive forgotten dreams, and create new beginnings where none seem possible. The passing of time does not weaken God's promises. The calendar may change. Seasons may come and go. Friends may move on. Opportunities may appear to disappear. But the faithfulness of God remains the same. He is not alarmed by your circumstances. He is not worried by the obstacles in your path. Nothing has ever occurred to him unexpectedly. Even now, while you are wrestling with uncertainty, heaven is not in chaos. God is still on his throne. His plans have not been interrupted. His purposes have not been delayed by a single second beyond what he has ordained. And sometimes, in the middle of our waiting, God begins to change not our circumstances, but us. He teaches us patience when we would rather have speed. He teaches us humility when we would rather rely on ourselves. He teaches us gratitude for small blessings when we have become fixated on larger ones. He teaches us to recognize his voice above the noise of the world. Many people pray for stronger faith without realizing that faith grows through testing. Just as muscles are strengthened through resistance, trust in God deepens through trials. Every unanswered prayer becomes an invitation to know him more intimately. Every delay becomes an opportunity to discover his faithfulness in a deeper way. There is a kind of peace that cannot be found in immediate answers. It comes only after someone has walked through uncertainty and discovered that God remained faithful through it all. It is the peace of a person who has learned that God's promises do not depend on changing emotions or favorable circumstances. That peace cannot be purchased. It cannot be manufactured. It is born in the hidden places of life where tears fall and prayers rise, where hope flickers yet refuses to die. And perhaps tonight there is someone who feels as though they are standing in one of those hidden places. No one around them fully understands the weight they carry. No one sees the battles raging inside their mind. Outwardly, they continue moving forward, but inwardly, they are exhausted from pretending to be strong. To that weary soul, God whispers once more, relax. Not because your struggles are insignificant, not because your questions are unimportant, not because your pain is imaginary, but because he is greater than all of it. He is greater than your fears about the future. He is greater than the disappointments of the past. He is greater than the mistakes you cannot undo. He is greater than the mountain standing before you. And when his time arrives, nothing on earth will be able to stop what he has prepared. So tonight, if your heart is weary from waiting, if your soul is burdened by unanswered prayers, and if you have begun to wonder whether God still remembers your name, hear this truth and hold on to it with everything you have. God has not forgotten you. The silence is not abandonment. The delay is not rejection. And the waiting is not without purpose. There is a God in heaven who sees every tear you have cried in secret. He knows every battle you have fought behind closed doors. He hears the prayers you whisper when no one else is listening. And even now, while you cannot see his hand moving, he is working in ways greater than you can imagine. One day, the door will open. One day, the answer will come. One day, you will look back on this season of uncertainty and understand why God asked you to wait. And when that moment arrives, you will not say God was late. You will say God was right on time. Do not leave this place carrying the weight of tomorrow on your shoulders. Lay your fears, your doubts, and your questions at the feet of the one who holds the universe in his hands. Stop measuring God's faithfulness by your timetable and start trusting the heart of the one who has never failed. Walk forward with courage. Pray with expectation. Wait with faith. And rest in the promise that what God has planned for your life cannot be stolen, delayed, or destroyed by the circumstances around you. The same God who guided you yesterday is leading you today, and he is already waiting for you in tomorrow. His timing is perfect. His plans are good. His love never fails, so relax. Trust him. Keep believing, because at the appointed time, in the exact moment he has ordained, everything will come in God's perfect timing.